Hello and welcome to a new type of video where I played a Blitz game, but then I'm analysing and commenting after the game. So you'll see the Blitz game being played in real time, but my comments and analysis take place after the game, so they should be of higher quality. e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6 and bishop b5. We have the Spanish opening. And for the first time in a long time, my opponent has played knight f6, the Berlin defense, known for being very solid at the highest level. I castle. My opponent takes on e4, and here I'm just pondering whether I should go rook e1 or d4. Rook e1 tends to be a very drawish line, and this is a Blitz game, so I want to take him on in this Berlin endgame. See what he's got. Knight back to d6, I take on c6, take, d takes e5 and knight f5. The queens come off. And now I go knight c3 with this b3 setup. So I want to go for a fianchetto with bishop b2. Now one idea for black is to go a5, a4, or maybe a5, b5, a4. Rook d1 check, and he goes king e8. He could go king c8. Maybe the king belongs on the queen side. And here, I'm really pleased with this move. This knight e2 maneuver in this Berlin endgame. The idea is for this knight to go to d4 or to f4. It might go to d4 because then I can trade off for his powerful knight on f5, but also his bishop on e6 is pretty good. Now here I've moved my knight away from the queen side, so he can play a5 and a4. So let's just quickly discuss this queenside pawn march. After knight e2, my opponent can play a5, planning to go a4. Now if I play a4 myself, then b5 might be an option. Not too sure because c6 is looking a bit weak. So I could go knight d4. And after take, there's pressure. I'm attacking this. This bishop is attacked, so he might go here, but then this knight, it can go to f5. After a5, I don't have to play a4, but I do allow black's rook to get into the game on the a file. If I play knight d4, then he might just go a4 here. And then he's got some options. I might take, and then knight d4. He might take, and then take. Then he's found a way in, which is annoying. So after a5, you know what? Maybe I would have gone a4. And if bishop d5, this bishop looks really well placed, supported by a pawn attacking the knight. I think I would have gone knight d4. And after take, we just keep playing from here. Maybe I'll kick the bishop away, get rook in, play f4. Black has to try and maybe get this rook in the game. And you'll see a nice maneuver by my opponent to show how he gets this rook in the game. Back to the game. Knight e2 just played. Rook d8, trying to swap off some pieces. Black has less space. Now I go knight f4. I could have played knight. By that I mean, now I play knight d4. I could have played knight f4. But I think I want to get rid of this knight on f5, so I offer this trade. h5, pretty cool move. It does not give away the g5 square. Notice my opponent cannot castle because we traded queens on d8. So he's finding a typical way to get the black rook into the game. And during the game, I completely forgot this was a possible maneuver. Now I play c4 to control the d5 square. So rook h6, pretty clever move. Pretty good move to defend the bishop. Now I can't take on e6 because he'll play rook takes. e6. Bishop c3, I'm not really too sure what to do. So I just brought my bishop closer. g5, I think my opponent has played well in this endgame. Now lots of trades happen. So I just get my rook in the center. I'm not really too sure when to trade. I feel that I should grab his bishop rather than his knight. So I think that is a better trade. Take. I think he takes with the rook. That was the point of rook h6. Trade a pair of rooks and then go knight d4, and I'm pretty pleased how this turned out because I've got a kingside majority. Very important. Let's discuss this endgame. I've got a kingside majority. By that I mean I've got 4 against his 3. You may be asking, well, black has 4 against 3 here. But the point is, black has a doubled c-pawn. So this really isn't a majority. He will find it very difficult to create a pass pawn. For example, later, if he plays a move like b5, then the only way black can create pass pawn is if I take and now take. Here is the vital difference. We've got 3 against 2. But the point is, when he plays b5, I don't have to capture. So if something like this, take, notice black has no chance to create a pass pawn on the queen side. So this kingside majority idea leads to a nice endgame for white. Bishop d4, f6, and rook e3. Back to the game. The point of rook e3 is so then now I can take on f6. So my opponent, he could play king f7 or f takes e5. Now after c5, my gut instinct was just to take on c5. But the cool thing is there's a really nice in-between move here. I can take on f6. He attacks my bishop, but I attack his rook. And now I get a winning endgame. Bishop takes e3. He goes b6 defending. So I defend my f6 pawn. King f7, he wants to get at it, so I go f3 and I've got a nice winning endgame. But believe it or not, I'm about to mess this up, which is incredible. You look at this position, you think, how on earth can anyone mess this up? Wait for it, and here we go. h4 check, loses. I can't believe this. And my opponent doesn't believe it either, because it looks like just en passant and white is winning here. And later on, I mess it up again. So let's go back and show why this pawn endgame is losing for white. Checking it with the engine after the game, I thought nothing more of it. This is over. h3, I can even move the king back. But h4 check loses on the spot, and the reason is, it would be really funny in chess if the en passant rule did not exist. If that was true, then you would just go king h5 and black would be winning, which would be one painful way to lose a game. King h5, and now black is going to get the opposition. He's going to get the more active king, and I am in big trouble. a3, c6, a4, a6, doesn't matter. This king has to give way. Eventually, I'm going to run out of pawn moves. So king h2 take, g3 check, king g5, king g2, king f5, king f2, king e4, king e2, losing. I've just got the opposition, but the problem is black has moves. And when that happens, I'm going to have to concede ground. I'm going to have to move the king and then lose. b5, game over. If I take, I lose, because now it's just 3 against 2. This was the idea I spoke about before. The option to create a pass pawn. Black now has this option in this endgame. Wherever I go, well, you've got a majority, you can even come here. If king here, then king here. Game over. So if I don't take, if I just move, then king here. If I go this way, then king here. It is over. I'm so glad my opponent didn't play this. Now, the better move would just be to play h3. But we both missed this amazing winning shot. Back to the game. b5, king g3. a5, doesn't matter, a4. Just giving him no chance, really, to create a pass pawn. King h6, king g4. King g6, h5 check. King there. King h5, and I think I mess it up. So what I should have done was this. This was more accurate. Don't even push the pawn, just go after it. Come on, wake up. I should be good enough to win this endgame. King here, the race is not even close. I'm just so close to these pawns. All of them are gonna fall. King g4 still winning, check. King here. What I should have done was just go h6. This is my decoy. Here, h7, and then same thing. King f5, king g7, king e6. I'm just too close to these pawns. King h4, king f5, h6 there, h7, yikes, this is a draw. Incredible. Incredible how anyone can throw a position away like this. King g4 was better, because if he takes, then I'm in. And this is exactly what we saw 20 seconds ago. The same position. The king on e6, the king on g7. But I went h7. We both have 15 seconds on the clock. Anyone can blunder in a blitz game. Take, king g5, king g7. Still a draw here. King g5, he should take first and then shoulder. That's it. There is no way through, and that would have been a tragic end. King f5, king f7, king e5, king e7, same thing. He can take and then go here shouldering. But after this, king e7, now I'm in time. 2 against 2, but my king is going to get after the c pawn. c4, he throws it in as a decoy, so then he can get past a pawn. But my king is in the square. I have a 5x5 square. So this king is able to stop the promotion. c4, take, a4, king d4. And because it's my move and I'm in the square, I'm good. So now it is a 4x4 square. I can come back. And I'm good. King d6. Let's just throw in a check. King c4, and we take and protect your pass pawn. c6 wins, but also b6 wins as well. King e5, king e7, and here, this is his blunder. If he took on c4, I would have no way to get in. So even in a pawn endgame, there's still a chance for him to draw because his king could come back. Now after c5 check, I go king c4. I'm in time to get after the pawn. And after c6, I've got my 2 passed pawns, and I'm just really pleased with this victory. Thank you so much for watching all the way until the end. If you enjoyed this kind of video where I analyze afterwards, also having a camera in real time, then give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel at the same time. Make sure you hit that bell, then YouTube will let you know when I release another video. Thanks a lot, and I will see you later.